Number 10. KAITLYN. Everyone knows how dramatic wrestling can be, especially during WWE events. Many of the shows are scripted, but as long as the audience is entertained, WWE will keep doing what they do best. In 2012, during a Michigan event, one part of the show was pretty interesting to see, and no one planned it ahead of time. One of the wrestlers that evening was a woman who goes by the stage name KAITLYN. While doing her job at the Van Andel Arena, police officers came in and put the 26-year-old into cuffs. Before joining the major leagues, KAITLYN spent many years pursuing professional bodybuilding, fitness, and modeling. Her journey eventually led her to the WWE. The night she was taken into custody, the wrestler was at the arena to supposedly film SmackDown, which is one of the television shows the company produces. What KAITLYN didn't realize, though, was that a warrant was out for her arrest. When the cops found her, they informed the wrestling diva that she'd apparently violated some traffic laws the last time she was in Michigan. After not facing the consequences for an old speeding ticket, KAITLYN had to get her mugshot taken before paying a measly $315 bond to get out of jail. This should serve as a reminder to everyone, don't go over the speed limit. Number 9. Sonya Deville. Many of the wrestlers that are signed with the WWE are given out-of-this-world personalities to build up hype around their performances and grow a fan base. One of these individuals is Daria Baronato, better known as Sonya Deville. The woman rose in popularity and came out as gay during a show. This confession made her the first openly lesbian WWE wrestler. Many people rallied around Sonya in support, and she gained a lot of fans for her bravery. Despite this inspiring backstory, she was arrested toward the end of February 2023. At the Borgata Hotel Casino and Spa in Atlantic City, the star cooperated with security and police officers after questioning her over a weapon found in her car. A gun was discovered in Sonya's vehicle a month before the arrest in New Jersey. Reports say that a valet driver opened the woman's glove box and saw the unlicensed firearm inside. The worker immediately dialed 911 afterwards to tell them what he saw. Since then, Sonya's been charged with possession of an unlawful weapon. She didn't have the legal paperwork or permit to own a gun, so the 29-year-old was busted. Some unnamed sources say she purchased the firearm after a crazy man tried to kidnap her in 2020. The person allegedly broke into her home as well. This would make anyone terrified, even a trained fighter. But Sonya still should have gone through the proper channels to get the gun. Her next court date is set for late March, so we'll have to wait and see how this case plays out. Number 8. TERRI Runnels. There seems to be a parallel between WWE stars and illegal weapons. Maybe it's the fact that carrying a gun and being a skilled wrestler both carry an aura of toughness. Or maybe the fighters just aren't that bright. In 2019, a former WWE star named TERRI Runnels was caught sneaking a loaded firearm into the Tampa International Airport. Airport security nowadays isn't something to mess around with, so we have no idea why this 52-year-old washed-up fighter thought it'd be a good idea to bring her gun to the facility. Obviously, TERRI was arrested for this stunt and was subsequently taken to jail, but she ended up paying a $2,000 bond to get out. Police reports say she had a 9mm Glock that had 11 or so shots inside. The strangest thing is that the bullets were hollow-tipped. These kind of projectiles give a lot more bang for their buck and can do some serious damage. The news was disappointing to a lot of TERRI's old fans. She was once a well-known name in the WWE sphere after winning the Hardcore Championship in 2002. Since only 4 women have won the title, she was a role model to many female wrestlers. When she wasn't in the ring herself, TERRI was representing up-and-coming fighters like the Hardy Boys, Edge, and more. Perhaps she deserves the benefit of the doubt. Maybe TERRI just forgot she was carrying the gun, but on the other hand, maybe she knew exactly what she was doing. Number 7. Phil Baroni. Fighters often get a bad reputation for being overly violent. Their sport involves beating people up, but that doesn't mean they're bad people. It's especially frustrating when those involved in the hobby give weight to the stereotype, like Phil Baroni. In January 2023, the mixed martial arts fighter was arrested after his girlfriend was killed in San Fernando, Mexico. On January 1st, her remains were discovered inside the couple's hotel room, and she was covered in dark bruises. When police first questioned Baroni about his lover, they noticed his hands were a bit red and he'd been drinking. The man called for help and admitted he and the victim were fighting shortly before her death because she confessed to cheating on him. He claimed she just slipped in the shower and banged her head on the way down. Baroni said after this, he helped her lie down in bed, but later found her dead. If you're a fan of the true crime genre, then you know this is an incredibly common excuse made by killers. Nothing has been confirmed yet, but this shoddy story raised many eyebrows. Baroni first entered the UFC back in 2001 and has enjoyed a prosperous career. The 46-year-old officially left the ring in 2019, but has returned in a few promotional fights since then. If he's found guilty of murder, Phil Baroni could face up to 50 years in prison. Since the crime happened in Mexico, the fighter will have to serve time there. Number 6. Jorge Masvidal. In March 2022, a UFC fighter named Jorge Masvidal made headlines after taking on MMA star Colby Covington outside of the ring. The two have had a fierce rivalry full of smack talk, but it seems like Colby took things too far one night in Florida. The muscled men faced off against each other in Miami Beach right outside the Poppy Steak restaurant. Allegedly, Jorge started the physical altercation after hearing Colby say something about his children. According to the MMA fighter, Jorge ran up to him, unprovoked, and punched him square in the face. Colby spoke about the attack afterward with TMZ and on his Twitter account. Apparently, he was struck in both the eye and mouth, causing a fractured tooth. Jorge was charged with criminal mischief and aggravated assault after the incident. He decided to turn himself in at the police station to avoid further prosecution. After getting out of jail on bail, he posted on social media saying, "Good morning to everyone, except those that think talking about someone's kids is cool." While we may never know if Colby actually said something about Jorge's children, we can only hope that the beef between these fighters is now squashed. What would you do if someone insulted your kids? Let us know in the comments down below. If you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Number 5. Nicole Bass. In May 2005, a 40-year-old pro wrestler apparently beat up her husband. Standing 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighing 230 pounds, this Amazonian woman knew how to handle herself very well. Nicole Bass was accused by her spouse, Robert Fuchs, of hitting him. He spoke with news outlets about how she typically takes a strong painkiller called OxyContin to deal with the painful symptoms of pancreatitis, which Nicole suffers from. When she wasn't able to fill her prescription on time, she decided to drown out her suffering with alcohol. Robert claimed she was consuming over half a gallon of liquor each day. His concern for his wife reached its peak when she suddenly started threatening to take her own life. The man says that he knew Nicole would never go through with it, but alcohol can make people do terrible things. Robert described his spouse as a sweetheart most of the time, so when she was acting so unusual, he thought it'd be best to call 911. That's when Nicole charged at him. When police got to the couple's home, she calmed down a bit. Reports say that she bit one of the cop's hands, but her husband believes it was an accident. The officer reached out to help the wrestler when she began falling down the stairs, so it may have happened then. Law enforcement took Nicole to get checked out by the psychiatric unit at the closest hospital and held her there for 72 hours. The woman had a prior disorderly conduct offense on her record from 2000 after biting another cop's thumb. Maybe Nicole just has a thing for hands, but who knows? Number 4. AZEA Agustama. Olympians are often looked up to with a lot of respect. After all, they represent their country and stand among some of the best athletes in the world. Unfortunately, a former Olympic boxer couldn't live up to the glory. In November 2022, he was handcuffed by police officers after planning to shoot up a Florida gym. 39-year-old AZEA Agustama once had a bright future ahead of him. He even competed as a representative of Haiti in the 2008 Beijing Olympic Games. The boxer also won the National Golden Gloves tournament and had a fierce reputation as the Haitian Hitman. Unfortunately, though, it seems that that title might have been a bit too accurate. Law enforcement in Tampa say AZEA posted several threats on his social media account, claiming he was going to hurt people at the boxer gym. Just over a week before the posts were made, the man's membership at the facility was canceled. He was told not to come back to the gym, and that if he did, he'd be trespassing. This all came after AZEA got into a verbal argument with the patron at the establishment. Before the altercation, he was making money on the side as a personal trainer. The most concerning thing AZEA put online was a photograph of the man who killed multiple students during the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School tragedy. Along with the picture, he wrote a caption saying he'd been thinking about shooting people at Boxer Gym for a while. With this, and the fact that he actually put a deposit down on an AK-47, police arrested AZEA for making such extreme threats. Number 3. Tae-hyun Bang. The UFC is full of tough competition. As opposed to the often staged and gimmick matches seen in the WWE, UFC competitors earn their titles. Sometimes, though, people want glory without going through the hard work. In November 2015, a South Korean fighter named Tae-hyun Bang faced off against Leo Kuntz in the ring. By a hair at the end of the match, Bang came out on top with the win. What had most people concerned, though, was what led up to the competition. Many UFC fans take out bets on who's going to win. If the odds that an athlete will be victorious are high, the stakes are often much lower. But if you bet on an underdog and he ends up winning, you can cash out with some serious bucks. Just hours before the match between Bang and Kuntz, the odds of Kuntz coming out on top went up massively, drawing suspicion. When Tae-hyun Bang was the victor, people immediately started pointing fingers saying the fight was fixed. The following April, news came out that investigators were looking into the validity of the match. Then, not long after, Bang was indicted. He was sentenced to 10 months in prison for accepting bribes to throw in the towel against Kuntz. Because insiders believed he was going to lose, the odds favored Bang's opponent, causing the massive scandal. Number 2. Melvin GUILLARD. In September 2018, 35-year-old Melvin GUILLARD got into a violent fight with another man at a bar in Colorado. The former UFC fighter was captured on surveillance footage, knocking out the victim after a brawl had formed. The fight broke out at around 2 a.m., but police were quickly called to the scene. Not only was the unnamed man injured, a woman who tried hitting GUILLARD was also struck by the fighter. Thankfully, witnesses at the crime scene knew who GUILLARD was and told police officers, who quickly put out a warrant for his arrest. After the news hit, the UFC competitor refused to comment on the situation. It's possible that GUILLARD just had too much to drink that night. Even so, there's still no excuse for this level of violence. Number 1. Tim Gorman. Many fighters are seen with huge, otherworldly muscles that most people could only dream of having. While a lot of athletes put in hard work to achieve these incredible bodies, some rely on the help of enhancers to get the physique they crave. In May 2020, ex-UFC fighter Tim Gorman was pulled to the side of the road during a traffic stop. When a Nebraska state trooper spoke to the 37-year-old, they noticed some strange activity. So they decided to have a canine come and sniff Tim's vehicle. It was good that they did because Tim was trying to hide over 121 pounds of weed inside his car. On top of this, he had 2 steroid vials, some cocaine, $14,000 in cold hard cash, and more. As a result, Tim was immediately arrested and charged with possession. Who knows what he was going to do with all those drugs? In 2017, the man was also found with a gun and marijuana on him. He was initially sentenced to 10 years in prison for this charge, but he was released after a year or so under supervision. It seems parole couldn't keep Tim out of trouble, though. Would you rather go head-to-head with a WWE wrestler or a retired UFC fighter? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Bad Badger.